Lionel Messi had them, and so did Loke and Yu.
Shanti Pereira has had her fair share, and likewise, Kwating won.
So what are we talking about here? Sports injuries, of course. Stay tuned to Everybody Knows. Welcome to the second season of Everybody Knows. My name is Mike Kasem.
And I'm Catherine Robert, and today it's all about sports injuries. Now, you don't have to be a top athlete to get them.
That's right. I mean, you could be just having a kickabout, maybe you're shooting some hoops, and then suddenly, bam, your life gets derailed.
A sudden twist of the ankle, and you're off to consult someone like our sports medicine specialist. Come on in, Dr. Cormac.
Hey, doctor.
Hey, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Great to have you with us.
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming.
Nice to meet you.
So, doctor, you've seen a lot of injuries, I imagine. What are the most common?
In my job, I've had the pleasure of seeing national athletes all the way down to recreation, and the patterns are pretty much the same. So on a Monday morning, I see a lot of acute new injuries that happened over the weekend, your common ankle sprains, your hamstring strains. Then you have another pattern of injury towards the later end of the week, people who are overusing their injuries. So the golfer that comes in after playing 3 days in a row, or the swimmer who's been in the pool 6 sessions already that week who has an overuse rotator cuff tendonitis.
Right.
The third pattern is the one I really don't like seeing, is say it's the gymnast who's doing their 1,000th double vault and they land a bit awkwardly and come in going, I'm in acute back pain. Those acute on chronic injuries. So they're the kind of patterns that you see.
So what are some of the more serious injuries that you've dealt with?
Oh, okay. The most serious injuries that I tend to deal with are the ones what I call career-ending or potentially career-ending for a professional. So, as an example, 8 weeks before Olympics, if a rugby player is playing in the sevens in Singapore, they change directions and the knee gives way. They know in that moment on that pitch that they're not playing in the Olympics. So that kind of level, they're the difficult one to deal with.
So which sports would you say gives you the most serious injuries coming in that you see?
Contact sports.
Highest risk would be football, basketball, rugby, because of the amount of people playing it and the highest risk that goes with that. So again, UEFA, who look after the professional leagues, they figured out over 5 years that 87% of all their injuries were lower limb in their professional athletes. Most common, hamstring strain. Their second most common was groin strain. And then the minute it started affecting a joint, like a knee or an ankle, their return to time, like the time it took them to return to play, took much longer. From a female perspective, netball, it's a great sport, but there's a high risk of injury with it.
Well, with that, let's meet our two guests today who are well-placed to talk about sports injuries.
That's right. He is the captain of the national football team. He won the Singapore Premier League title with the Lion City Sailors in May.
And he's one of the most well-known radio personalities, and he leans toward running as a sport.
A big welcome to Hariss Harun.
And Joakim Gomez.
Come on out. Hello, hello.
Where's our music? Where's our
How's it going, guys?
Hello, guys.
Yeah, good,
Take a seat, take a seat.
Hi, Hariss. Nice to meet you.
Please, please. I'm pretty sure my captain doesn't look like that.
It's so bad.
But you used to be a footballer, right?
I mean, not at
Careful
his
what you
level.
say.
Just a social footballer, guys. Social footballer, yeah.
Yeah.
We are talking about sports injuries, something that I would imagine, Hariss, you know, as difficult as it can be, you have been through one of those experiences.
I think the most serious one will be the ACL ones that I went through. So I had 2 of those injuries, one in each leg. So one was pretty early in my career. I was still a young player coming through, so it happened when I was 17, 18 years old. So I can still remember the pain that I had, you know, when I actually ruptured or actually suffered the injury. It was a tackle, and the opponent landed on my leg. At that point of time, I didn't know what this injury was. You know, I just felt a lot of pain. I mean, I can't really move. So I came out and I was ice pack on my knee. And the advice for me was to just go home and rest and then see what happens the next morning. But the next morning, my knee was like swollen. And the pain through the night, I couldn't sleep. I barely slept at night. So yeah, I saw the doctor and we did the MRI. And that was when it was confirmed.
How long were you out for?
The day I suffered the injury, I came back to play a year later, exactly a year later. Yeah.
Did you feel 100%?
No, this actually took a toll on my mind in how I wanted to approach the game, because my style was full on. You know,
play hard,
yeah, play hard, give your best, run yourself to the ground. But I had to be a bit mindful because it was psychological, like I said. It was all about getting the confidence back. And it takes a couple of months, actually, yeah.
So, Joe, you had your ACL as well.
Mine happened in 2009 in 2 parts. So, was playing football, was trying to hit the ball, I jumped, I landed straight on my left knee and I heard a click. And there was a small pain in there. I was like, what's going on here? And I didn't know what was it back then. So I carried on playing, and true enough, I think my boot was planted on the turf pitch. My socks slipped in my boot, and my entire body weight came crashing down, and that's where I heard the loudest crunch of my life. Started to swell, you can't bend your leg, and it hurt every single night. But I thought back then, oh, you know, ankle sprain, the swelling will die, you can go back and play anytime. So after 2 or 3 weeks, I played football again. In less than 1 minute, my knee gave way. So I got a chiropractor to take care of it for now. And then national service happened. After an MRI, they said, yes, you ruptured your ACL and meniscus, so we're going to put you to PES C2L2. I'm so embarrassed to say it, this excuse called excuse running, marching, jumping. Anything that impacts your knee, you're excused from it. And I'm like, but I'm a runner, I love running so much, right? True enough, I found myself marching, and while turning left, the randomest of actions, my knee gave way again. And that was when, okay, surgery was done the next day. I'm frustrated I couldn't run, couldn't play football for a while. And, you know, being 21 back then and going to rehab, you want to get it done quickly, you want to hopefully recover. And the moment my physio cleared me to run again, I was like, yes. But like Hariss, playing football again, socially even, I was like, you want to slide? No, just take the ball, it's okay. You know, I don't
You're just fearful. So, Doc, tell us what is an ACL?
Well, first of all, the ACL is the anterior cruciate ligament. Cruciate comes from Latin, it means cross. So there's an anterior and posterior, they form an X. And they are the major stabilizers for your knee, particularly the ACL. So if you're involved in a straight line running sport, often if you've torn it, you might be able to cope with it. In a sport like football, you cannot cope. The minute you try and pivot your knee, if it's unstable because the ACL is torn, it's going to rotate, over-rotate, and then your knee's going to have that instability or giving way.
Wow.
So what we're looking at on the right there will be on an MRI, which is how most ACLs are accurately diagnosed. On the right, you see a clear, continuous line. That's the pathway that the ACL should take on an MRI.
Okay.
On the left, it's not there, it's missing. So what's the strands that are there are the 2 ends of a ligament that have torn in the mid-segment and are no longer there.
Which is worse to get through? Is it the rehab and the recovery, or is it the confidence and building that again?
The physical part, it takes a longer time because from surgery till you go through the rehab process and then to getting back to the pitch, and then you have to fight for your place on the pitch because you are behind by 8 months or a year or so. That takes a toll on the mind as well. Like I mentioned, we are an impatient bunch. Go out there and play. And, you know, football it's fun to play with your mates and all this, but when injury hits you, you got to think a little bit rationally. You know, like you got to do what's good for you, not because you want to play for the next 3 months, but possibly for the next 10 years, 15 years,
It's your
20 years.
career, it's your
career,
livelihood. Yeah. So we're going to go for a break, but we're also going to be back with a story from an ex-national rugby player. We'll see you in a bit. Welcome back to Everybody Knows. Now, if you've picked up a sports injury, even just playing casually, stay with us to find out more.
Up next, he's a well-known media personality who was also an ex-national rugby player. Paul Foster tells us his story.
Hi, Paul Foster here, sports enthusiast, ex-national rugby player, and I'm gonna talk about some sports injuries I've had, in particular my ACL reconstruction. My 2 main sports were rugby and basketball. So I don't think I had many major injuries with basketball, but when it came to rugby, I dislocated my shoulder on several occasions. It took me probably about 6 months to kind of recover from that first injury. What stops your shoulder from dislocating is there's a catch on your shoulder that doesn't allow it to kind of pop out. I tackled someone, shoulder to knee. The knee hit my shoulder, I went too low, and it kind of jolted my shoulder out, and on the dislocation, it actually kind of chipped away on that catch. So my shoulder was never as tight anymore. I was starting to peak in my rugby career. At that point, I was already at the junior rugby level for national. So that first dislocation was a real major setback. That affected my whole career moving forward. You know, an injury is physical, but it's also very mental. To a certain degree, you never really play the game the same way anymore. I kept on getting injured. And I got to the point where I had to get another surgery to fix that particular injury. And then after that, I kind of said maybe I should retire from full contact rugby. My most major, in terms of what I had to do to fix it, and then what I had to do for rehab, was my ACL. And that was in 2019. Playing netball, jumped up to get a rebound. And when I came down and I landed really hard. I didn't absorb the jump and be a bit more nimble. And you could hear like my soles of my feet like hit the ground, but also I could just hear and feel my knee just completely blow out. I knew immediately it was gone. My ACL, supposed to be attached to your knee, it completely blew out. So it came out and then it flipped back in onto itself. So it was actually then back inside my knee, which was causing, that's why I could feel it even more. And then when an injury affects your daily life, that's a problem. You can't walk into the kitchen properly, or you can't turn and do something because your knee is not following you anymore. It affects my work and my career. All of a sudden, oh, I can't play this role in this show because I need you to run because this character is an athlete. It was just a race against time to make sure that everything was in order to get done. You still have to go and see the specialist, you got to get the MRI, you need to see exactly what the issue is, and Dr. JK was like, yeah, right there, completely gone, I know exactly what I need to do, which is go in, remove it, drill a nice hole into the patella, take the ligament out of my hamstring, fold that over onto itself, make it stronger, tighten it up, and slip that into that hole and attach it to the knee and then let that heal. I did a full year of rehab. I went in, I was doing 3 times a week. What would I tell young people doing sports based on my experience? If you get injured, all you gotta do is recover and come back stronger and better. It may or may not happen, but you can't let that affect you playing your sport. So go out there, play hard, play well, play fair, and enjoy the sport you're playing.
My goodness, what a story. I'll tell you what, next time I see Paul, I'm not even gonna give him a high five. Poor guy. So with ACL injuries, do they all need surgery?
It depends on the extent of it. If it's a complete tear, all the research would say if you're involved with a pivoting sport, then in the long term, you need an ACL reconstruction. In the last few years, there are conservative protocols coming out trying to repair the ACL naturally. They're strict protocols. They've got very clear criteria who fits and who doesn't. But that's a small percentage of people that can undergo that conservative treatment protocol. In reality, if you get an accurate diagnosis and it's a complete tear, and especially if you're a professional athlete, you're getting ready for ACL surgery.
What is the fastest ACL reconstruction recovery time?
There are tissue timelines, there's healing timelines. And the most important thing when you're diagnosed with an ACL and you're undergoing surgery is to be prepared for the surgery. And that's not one day. That could take 6-8 weeks for your body to be ready for the surgery because you need to have full range, you need to have good strength. That helps your recovery afterwards.
For the both of you, you both did this ACL surgery. Like Paul was saying, they took a ligament from his hamstring to replace the ACL. Yeah. What happened in your respective surgeries?
So I had one hamstring and one patella.
Okay.
Yeah, so mine was the hamstring process, the ACL recon surgery. And I remember the pain I felt the moment I woke up from GA when they were transferring me from the operation bed to my ward bed. The moment they lifted me, it's like my left leg was dead. It's like that, and you're just like, ah! And you're going to the ward bed. It's okay, hang on the pain. And then the first time they actually taught me to walk on crutches, touching the ground with my left leg felt foreign. It felt so foreign.
What is an important thing to take note of during the healing process?
Pre-op phase of being physically and mentally prepared for the surgery is critical. If you go into the surgery not knowing what to expect in the first 2 weeks, in the first 6 weeks, then you're going to refuse to move the knee and you're going to refuse to work on the strength. And that's simple things, knowing again that in the first 2 weeks, you're going to be on crutches. If you can get off crutches by 2 weeks and start weight bearing yourself, your strength will start coming back much, much easier.
The ACL, is it as good as it was before, like 100% physically? I mean, I know the mental aspect is there, but is it physically?
Again, from a strength perspective, absolutely. About 93% of people can get back to the same level of sports.
The recent one that I had in 2020 was a partial one. So in my mind, maybe I don't need to do the surgery, you know. But this was done overseas, so I came back to Singapore. I went to do my MRI again here. Saw different doctors. I saw Dr. Cormac as well, and then I think all the doctors said, you know, if you are a normal person who's just going about his daily life, you probably could just get by. But if you want to come back and compete, it is recommended to do the surgery. So I had to think long and hard because I was already in my 30s. And I was thinking if I should go for the surgery, but of course after much thought, and I said, look, maybe I have a good 6-7 years left, you know, and I should do the surgery. So the decision to arrive at that moment to decide to do the surgery was also huge for me because I knew what it was going to be like. Yeah.
What exactly is happening in the surgery? You're sewing it?
You're reconstructing it. So there are some ligaments that tear at a specific point you can repair if it's done early.
How do you repair?
That's sutured or stitched back onto the bone. The majority, you take a structure, a tendon, most likely from the patellar tendon, quad tendon, or hamstring tendon, and replace the ACL. So it's a full reconstruction where you are drilling through the bone to tunnel that graft in place of the ACL.
Do they have synthetic ones now? Or?
There was a trend in Australia to synthetic about 10 years ago, but the re-injury rates were higher, so it's gone out of fashion. There are now kind of scaffolds that are being used in the US to put in place native ACL and repair around that, which is the future. The future will be where you'll have stem cells and you have a scaffold that you can regenerate the ACL.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
We're not there yet.
Dr. Cormac, you know, back to Paul's story earlier, he talked about his shoulder injury.
True.
Now, is that a very common one as well?
Shoulder injuries in combat, in contact sports would be very, very common. So for rugby, it's high risk if you don't tackle properly or you get hit that you get a traumatic shoulder dislocation. A shoulder dislocation, because usually you'll damage the structures that give you that stability. It's inherently unstable. It's like taking a golf ball on a tee and turning it 90 degrees. It's going to drop. So if you don't get back that full structural stability, you're higher risk.
Alrighty. Well, it's time for a short break, and we'll be back in a while with some tips on how to prevent injuries. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to Everybody Knows, where we have been having a full-on discussion about sports injuries.
Yep, our focus in this final segment is on prevention. Now, many people are hitting the gyms these days, but they may not know how to do the exercises safely. Now, we've got a coach to demonstrate the movements.
Now today I'm going to share with you some pro tips of the common movements that we see and how you can benefit and execute them safely. Now the movement that we're going to go into is the back squat. You're going to be placing the bar on the back of your shoulder or on top of your shoulder before you proceed. So hand holding onto the bar, enter the bar, make sure the bar is sitting firmly on top of your shoulder blades. Step back, step away from the rig. Okay, place yourself in a nice stable position. Take a deep breath in and then going down to the squat. Now go as low as you're comfortable with. You can go deeper if you like to, or you can go midway. Then proceed to standing back tall again. Now take note, do not lock your knees out too hard, do not lock your hips out too much, do not slouch. What you want to do is always feel the connection between the bar down under your feet. Now when you're not in a gym, something that you can do easily at home will be a regular bodyweight squat. All you need to do is find a very flat surface, stand tall, lower yourself down to an angle that you're most comfortable with. You can perform a full depth squat or any angle, once again, that you're most comfortable with. Now this next exercise that we're going to go into, it's called lunges. It's a very common movement that we see, but it's not commonly done very, very well. Let me go through with you. Now the lunge challenges our balance for our pelvic or our hip, so the hip has to be always in a very good position. Now to show you, you need to bring yourself into a high kneeling position first. Okay, to engage the movement, you start off by pressing the heel into the ground and with your toe tucked underneath. Once you're stable, you push yourself away from the ground and elevate myself up into a nice tall position. Now take note, the hip is still facing forward. It doesn't change in position. And you will also notice that my knees, unlike the regular squat, it doesn't jut forward. Now, bringing the knee forward repeatedly can potentially weaken the knee joint and create more degeneration. So what we want to do is push the knee back into position. Make sure your body weight is divided between your front foot and your back foot. Keep your body in a nice tall position. Perform the push, the press off from the ground. You can add on the breathing as well. Going down, exhale, coming back up. And then you can perform the movement as often as you can, once again in a very controlled manner. Observe how your hip, your knee will improve, strengthen, and also to prevent further degeneration.
I'm sure all of that is old news to Hariss and Joakim, but I hope it helps some of you out there who have been unsure about doing gym exercises correctly. So, Dr. Cormac, would you say that that is pretty much spot on for what you do to rehab a torn ACL? Or
Absolutely. Well, again, the big word that he mentioned there, prevention, I think we could do a full series just on prevention alone. So when you look at prevention and risk factors, everyone has risk factors to injury. Most of them are external, the sport you play, what surface and everything else. Intrinsic means what your risk factor is yourself. The biggest risk factor intrinsically for an injury is gender, female. If you're female, your risk of a knee injury in most studies is between 2 and 9 times more.
Really?
If you can do a basic squat and build from that to do a single leg squat, it means your risk of injury when you're cutting, when you're pivoting, is markedly reduced.
Wow, that's insane. Okay, so our focus in this final segment is like you said, all about prevention. Now, Dr. Cormac, you mentioned that these ankle sprains are the most common form of injury.
Yeah.
Would you be able to show us how, we can prevent?
I can show you exercises that will reduce the risk of re-injury.
Okay.
These are simple exercises that everyone can do at home, no equipment required, that
Okay.
can reduce the risk of injury. So we'll work on strength first. What you can simply do is start doing some calf raises. So if you start going up on your toes, then slowly back down, count to 3. That's your start position and your end position. Second thing you need to work on after an ankle injury is stability. So let's do a little 10-second test. Stand on one leg, get your balance. When you have sprained your ankle, you'll find that this control is a little bit worse. Let's make it a bit more challenging.
Okay.
If you feel safe, stand on one leg, get your balance, close your eyes.
Okay.
Oh.
What happens now is you lose your visual input. Your ankle has to censor itself what way it's going.
So you have more the wobbly.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to make it more difficult, stand on a cushion. What you're doing there is you're challenging and regaining strength and stability, and all you need to do is progress on that, and your risk of re-injury gets less and less on a daily basis.
That was great. Thank you so much, Dr. Cormac. We appreciate all your help. Yeah.
Big thanks as well to Hariss Harun and Joakim Gomez for talking us through their experiences. Now, if you are fans of Hariss and Joakim and you want to rewatch this episode, head on over to MeWatch. We'll say goodbye for now. I'm Catherine Roberts.
And I'm Mike Kasem. Thanks for watching.
Everybody knows.